Hey everyone, welcome to the September Facebook Live. We didn't do one on the 12th because I was out moving my mother to a condo and also attending Amazon United, which was a really fun conference. And I'm excited that ScanPower was there. We got to meet the folks from Smart Scout. We saw our friends James McConnell and Diana Gershman. We saw Amanda Weaver from FBA Prep for You, who's a big ScanPower user and friend of ours that runs a prep center. We also saw and met Proven Prep and Kyle Curtis from Proven Prep and some of his team. So it was a really fun show. And I highly recommend it if they do it next year, which I believe they will, that you attend. And I think even though it's focused on wholesale and not everyone is selling wholesale, I think it's certainly what we're seeing as a lot of new sellers coming onto the platform or starting in wholesale rather than RA or OA. And that's like a big step, but I met many people there who are selling a mixture of RA, OA, and doing just fine, kind of customizing how they sell on Amazon, like most of you. So Amazon United, I think other takeaways that it was kind of eye-opening, the depth of the knowledge there. So there were breakout sessions where there were round tables or kind of Q&As with some really large and experienced sellers talking about how they do planning for inventory and kind of how they predict and forecast their buys and what their target spend is. So I'm not sure if they're going to make the recordings available, for a fee to everyone, but it would be really great if they did, because it would give you folks who weren't there a chance to see it and get some of those tips and just kind of see the energy around it. The other thing that happened last week was Amazon Accelerate. So Amazon's annual conference in Seattle, where they announced some new initiatives. Three that come to mind. They announced Amazon Supply Chain, which is kind of a consolidation of some things that were already in existence, like warehouse distribution and their global logistics, so they can, take your container or your shipment from China or overseas and receive it directly into their fulfillment network, and then handle all the documents, handle the cross-border, the legal piece of moving that inventory into the United States or into another country, and then putting that into the FBA network. So global logistics, warehouse distribution. The only downside to, letting Amazon handle all of those for you is obviously there are going to be fees associated. One of the announcements they made was no peak surcharges, for those logistics services, but there'll also be fees for, every step of the way, and they're going to know who your suppliers are. So if you're a little worried about that could be an issue. Second thing they announced at Amazon Accelerate was they've added AI to the listing creation flow. So you'll be able to get help with all aspects of creating new product listings, from Amazon's artificial intelligence. I've not tried it out, but I think that has the potential to, if not be creative, at least help you prevent mistakes as you're creating listings. And then another thing that I was somewhat interested in was the announcement that Vico, which is it's a product that they purchased a little over a year ago, I think, that allows you to fulfill orders, from your website, fulfill merchant fulfilled orders as well, and purchase shipping. They announced, I think it was a 5% discount on those. And also, supposedly, if you're a Vico user, you can get the same barcode scanner handheld computer that Amazon uses in its own warehouses to do picking. So that's pretty exciting, and something that I'd like to try out, since we do a lot of work around scanning barcodes and identifying products and, picking, packing, shipping, receiving, in a flow that uses barcodes. So that would be cool to find out more about. So today, this is what I hope is that we can, bring some people on as a roundtable. I've posted the Zoom link in our Facebook group. So if you're watching this and you would like to join, click on that link and I'll let you in to the Zoom, and you can give us some of your insights into Q4 capacity management, managing the quantities that you're sending into Amazon. So I'll keep an eye out for people as they join. So capacity limits. Recently, at least I think it was last year, Amazon changed the capacity limits from being units to being based on volume, so dimensional volume, and they separated it out by different storage types. And so I'm going to just throw up, share my screen here so we can look at that. But yeah, if you go to your FBA dashboard, the first thing that you can see is your inventory performance index. And obviously excess inventory can be bad, but we all know that if you're ramping up for Q4, you're going to want more inventory in. So the second thing is the sell-through rate. And the way that Amazon calculates sell-through is the number of units sold over the number of units in stock for the period. And they also do it by 90 days. I think a lot of people like to see sell-through, more granular, maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But Amazon's metric is based on 90 days, and they like it to be in the 2 to 7 range. So if you are averaging, 100 sales with 50 units in stock, you're going to be in the 2 range. And if a number of sales, is significantly more than that, you're going to be up in the 3, 4, 5, 7 range. So that's important to know as you're planning for your capacity for Q4. This screen has changed, I feel like, 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. But the second thing to look at is your storage utilization. So you're not able to see your storage surcharges here, but you can at least see what inventory is exposed for storage surcharges. And this is just broken down by standard size and oversize. And then capacity. So at the bottom, there's a pop-up tab that shows your capacity for standard size, oversize, extra large, apparel, footwear, aerosol, and flammable. So you get capacity in cubic feet for all of these different sizes. And what you're trying to do is figure out, okay, from October, for October and November, we're already in September, what is my capacity, and might I need to increase that in order to send more in and be prepared for Q4? So that the challenge here is knowing how much capacity you want to send, and the new system to ask for more capacity is called Capacity Manager. And I personally don't have a lot of experience with this, but I'll go ahead and just run through it really quickly so that everyone can get a sense of how this works. So you can see in my case, capacity is reduced going into October and November. And by the way, capacity is always granted. So in the third week of September, I should get my December capacity from Amazon. So it maps out, or I could also see, October and November capacity change, but it maps out the next month in the third week of the current month, and then it tries to give you a prediction of 2 more months out. So if you are a new professional seller, the nice thing is if you've been selling for less than 39 weeks, you don't have capacity limits because they don't have a history, and you probably aren't, using more capacity than they think you should have. So new sellers with professional selling accounts are in a really good position prior to Q4 to just go gangbusters. If you're an existing professional selling account, meaning older than 39 weeks, your capacity limits are based on your IPI score, on your sales performance, and also for other factors like historical performance. And also, they're going to adjust it for seasonal, peak selling periods. If they know that you have a history of selling an item a lot more in October, November, December, your capacity limits will be adjusted accordingly. Now, the downside is these limits aren't always correct. And so you get a mismatch between the inventory you think you're going to sell in the next month, in the next 60 days, in the next 90 days, particularly during Q4, and what Amazon thinks you're going to sell. So if there's a significant difference there, how do you deal with it? So join me on this Zoom. I really want to have additional opinions here, because I think this is really interesting. It's some extra work, but you can plan this out, assuming you've been selling some of the same products for a while, based on past performance, based on what your sell-through rate is, what Amazon projects it to be, what maybe you have another tool like Smart Scout or Restock Pro or SoStock that's telling you slightly different numbers. You can use those and the new capacity limit request tool to say, all right, this is how much I think I'm going to use. And if Amazon grants that request, so that's basically a bidding system, you're saying, I'm willing to pay X number of dollars per square foot for extra storage, for these time periods. And you can go out as far as November, if you like. For example, I just put in an extra storage request for October of 100 additional cubic feet, because I'm probably not going to use that much, but I got some new ScanPower hats, I got new ScanPower mugs. I want to get these into FBA so that I can fulfill them, in multi-channel fulfillment. In any case, you have to wait for the bid to be accepted, and even if the bid is accepted and you think you're going to be paying a certain amount per square foot, that's still not necessarily what you will pay, because what Amazon does is they will reduce the reservation fee by 15 cents for every dollar of product sales you generate with this new capacity. So you could be paying, much less than projected by what your bid is or your request for this additional storage, but it all depends on, if you're selling. So it's very similar to other metrics in Amazon. It's the most important thing is that your sell-through rate is high and your inventory is moving through FBA and not just sitting there. So that's just a quick rundown of how you would make a new request for more capacity. Let's say that gets rejected or it's still not enough capacity. What are other options? As I mentioned before, Amazon has a warehouse distribution service, which is available in the Send to Amazon workflow. I think I had, just pull this up. So I had started one, but there's a link for warehouse distribution where it basically takes you to this workflow. And instead of saying, a shipment that's going to a specific FBA warehouse, it will be warehouse distribution. And I think that should be an option here. In any case, warehouse distribution is send inventory to a distribution center in Amazon, and they will charge you less than the regular FBA storage fees. I'll try to attach those fees and more information to the group and to this live, but they'll charge you fewer or lower fees than if it was in FBA, and they'll also allow you to set up a drip into FBA so that as you sell through and have extra capacity in FBA, your inventory automatically feeds in from WDS to FBA. And, that's, again, kind of a hands-off approach to inventory management for a fee. The second option that I would say is, as good or possibly better is you can use a 3PL or a prep center, send them your inventory, have them process the amount that fits your capacity into FBA, and then have them store the remainder for 1 month, 2 months, whatever it takes for Q4, and regularly feed that in, up through, end of October, early November, depending on, how you want to roll the dice for whether it will be received in time for the holiday season. So I can't say, because it's so inventory and account specific, what dates are proper cutoff dates for sending in for Q4, but you definitely have a few options if you want to stage your inventory and get it in on time. Let me pop up the group and see if the live has generated some chat questions. Yeah, so any thoughts? And again, I would love to have people join the Zoom call. So if you want to pop in, I will paste the Zoom link into the live chat here. I know there are some people who are, coming over from the RA Secrets group who they have their weekly call at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're not familiar with that group, it's great. Perry and Kim Coughlin, Elizabeth Thompson, and Brian Freifelder are some of the admins and some of the big brains behind the RA Secrets group. They have a weekly call at 11 a.m. I think you have to be a member of the group, but all the more reason to check it out. And again, we like to pigeonhole sellers. And I can say I've met a lot of sellers and being in this business for a while. And the commonality is everyone's very sharp and everyone is motivated and everyone is looking for opportunities. And so it just makes no sense to, completely pigeonhole people by the type of selling they do, because it's pretty fluid. And we've seen people move to wholesale, move to private label, move back and do RAOA during certain times of the year or for certain products. It's kind of whatever works. And that's what we love, because that's the entrepreneur mindset. I did want to mention in conjunction with the capacity limits that we were talking about, one of the announcements at Amazon Accelerator, Amazon Supply Chain, that is particularly useful for people who source products, outside the U.S. I think it's primarily, the global logistics is primarily geared towards private label products, maybe sourced from China, but there are other options. So while we talked about the warehouse distribution and using a 3PL or prep center, if you're a private label seller, this, Amazon supply chain, could both lessen the fees and the amount you pay for logistics, and also streamline the documentation process, as well as set you up for kind of a more efficient and less painful Q4 as inventory, flows through Amazon's network. Once it's in their network, there's definitely a little more accountability, and you should be able to get answers to questions about, where it is, when there's a performance problem, or when there's a problem with a shipment or packaging, and in particular, you can deal with it. So Amazon, Q4 capacity is something that now requires a spreadsheet. I will bring up this. So if you go into Capacity Manager, I should have showed this earlier. So from the Capacity Monitor, you can click on Capacity Manager, and here again, it shows you current requests, what your fulfillment capacity is. And I just noticed that multi-channel fulfillment capacity is at 0. I'm not sure why that is, because it doesn't make a lot of sense if, I have something in an FBA warehouse, I can still multi-channel fulfill it. So that's something I'll have to research. But when you create a new request, this dialog gives you the ability to, download a calculator tool, which I'll show you in just a second, a reservation fees history, which only applies if you've done multiple reservations. And then this is a third download for inventory performance credits. But really, when you look at the spreadsheet for Capacity Manager, it actually has performance credit calculations in it. So I would just start with downloading the calculator tool. And the way this works is you choose a storage type. So if you sell a lot of footwear, you can select footwear. You paste in your current capacity and then your requested limit. And then this is where you need, some of your sales history to say what is the target sales for this period. And I believe this is dollar amount. So rather than, and the reason I think it's dollar amount is because they're using that to calculate the performance. But in any case, so you enter the requested capacity in cubic feet and then the estimated sales in dollar amount, and you're going to come up with reservation fees and estimated performance credits. And what I was hoping is they might give you a range of fees that you should be willing to pay. And I think what they're asking you to do is work backwards from, here's your sales estimate in terms of performance credits, and then what you would pay, for that capacity at the end of the period. So I'm guessing if your estimated credits is 53, they're basically saying, use that to make an informed decision about what you're willing to pay here for your reservation fee. So it's a little complicated, and I can't say that I'm, capturing all the nuances of it, but I hope that makes sense. And, I hope that's useful as you look at expanding your capacity for October and November. Just check into the group here to see if we have other chats. And again, if you'd like to join for a little roundtable discussion at the end of the live, please use this Zoom link that's posted in the group and in the chat, and join me. Love to have you. This is going back to the Amazon Accelerate conference. This person, Jason Chan, posted on LinkedIn about the highlights from it. And I have to say, having attended, I think I attended 4 sessions, in between doing ScanPower work. I have to say I was impressed at, kind of the breadth of the topics that were covered. And obviously they're investing a lot into, making the seller experience better. I don't think they're ever going to put sellers on the same plane as buyers, but it is impressive. They're investing millions into improving the seller experience, and both protecting sellers and getting rid of bad actors. And so there's quite a, there's quite a tension there. But again, going into Accelerate, I expected it to be a lot about, here's how you can increase your Amazon ad spend, here's how, more, I just expected it to be, kind of a big pitch to spend more money on, some of the higher profitability parts of selling on Amazon for Amazon. And certainly supply chain is going to be something that, they've already built out, such an enormous capacity that I don't doubt that this is going to be a profit center for them. So supply chain, I think, is the one that's kind of most fascinating, because it's like it's like global FBA. It's like FBA that replaces, potentially all of your logistics. And that sounds grand on the face of it, but it's not necessarily what most of us want, is to turn over more control to Amazon. That said, I think it's going to work for a lot of people and kind of reduce the friction to getting products into FBA. And then, this just improving the listing process and reducing errors, I think that's great. Yeah, Jason mentioned that buy with Prime and Shopify. So in the past, Shopify has avoided, kind of partnering with Amazon tightly. And now they're, especially since, their logistics is no longer a part of the company. I think this buy with Prime from Shopify is it's going to help Shopify some, but I think it's going to help Amazon a lot. There's new dashboards for customer loyalty. These are not things that I dug into, but I know that there were multiple sessions on voice of the customer and how it's been improved. So, benchmarking and trends for customer feedback, and then performance metrics that are kind of broken out. And same for customer insights. And as I mentioned, it's not clear with Vico where that's going, but I think if I had to predict, they're trying to, they're trying to be a solution for small warehouses and possibly even, a competitor for warehouse management systems. So that will be fascinating to follow. Like I said, I want to get my hands on one of these scanners to see how they, how it integrates with Vico and whether it handles FBA, because Vico is now advertising that they can do FBA related inbound, but I haven't seen that with just the limited testing that I did. So that's definitely something that would be interesting for me. Okay, well, I'm not getting any takers on my joining me on the Zoom, which is too bad, but everyone's busy, everyone's gearing up for Q4. I appreciate you tuning in, and we can cut this off a little early so that you can get back to what you're doing. For me, that's going to be creating more tutorials and onboarding videos. I talked with my team this morning and mentioned that we've created 2 new playlists on YouTube, and these are referenced and kind of duplicated on our help desk, which is tips and tricks and new features. So look for new content on our YouTube channel. We have tons of new features that need to talk about. We're going to be, generating 3-in-1 labels, for example. If you send all of your products, if it's a single SKU box and you've got 100 boxes on a pallet, no need to print 3 different labels. We're going to print a 3-in-1 label that has the F and SKU, has the box label, all of that on a 4x6 label. We'll support other label sizes in the future. Things like that. And then as far as the getting started and onboarding, I put up 2 new videos yesterday that talk about settings. So just quickly going through prep and ship settings and only turning on what's needed for you to dive right in and start sending shipments. So check out those new videos. We've got some more content we're going to be publishing soon on our socials. And another thing I will mention is that if you're a user of Seller Central's apps and services, one of the things that Amazon allows you to do, which we would love if you would give us feedback, is you can, click on the Boxed app. This is going to be renamed to ScanPower soon, by the way. But for now, our listing in the Selling Partner App Store is under Boxed, and you can rate and review us there. And whether you like it or hate it, we love your feedback. We love reviews. And this helps other sellers see that, how people use our tools. And, we're lucky. We have a very high rating, but we'd love to have more of that. And the next thing that I just want to mention real quickly is we are now an Amazon Emerald app. And so this is a select group of applications on the Selling Partner App Store that have integrated with, it's not a public API, but it's a notifications API to Seller Central. So currently there are 2 notifications that you can receive from ScanPower if you have expiring products, and particularly if you under expirations. So we have a report that allows you to see all your expiring products. And I'll do a video on this that's more in depth, but basically for all SKUs or for a given SKU, you can say what's going to expire in the next 60 to 120 days, generate the report that can be downloaded. You can use that to return inventory. But in the settings, there's an option to send a notification or a weekly email of this report for the days to expire. If this is turned on, you can get a notification in Seller Central. And I don't think I have any unread notifications, but the notification shows up right here under Actions. So let me pull up, I've got an example of it. I'll just pull up here real quick. So as I said, in the dashboard for Seller Central, there'll be a notifications or Emerald notifications, and it will be under the Boxed app, and it'll say you have, in products expiring. Consider adjusting your price or create a removal order, and then you can click on the link and go to our expirations report and to the page that I showed you previously. And then the second notification that, again, we can push right into Seller Central is if you have FBA prep or ship issues. So in ScanPower, for example, that notification was generated, I think, by a failed feed. So on this IND9 shipment, the feed was sent and it failed because it was a mismatch in the number of boxes or cartons that were sent. So because there was an error on the shipment, it got pushed right into Seller Central, and you could see that. So that might be useful for a prep center or 3PL, just to let the customer know, oh, there is a shipment problem. Maybe I should check with the prep center just to make sure everything's okay. And again, it links into Boxed or into ScanPower so that you can, see where the issue happened. But that's some new news. Hadn't really talked about it much, but I think it's really cool. And I hope, again, that you'll check us out in the Selling Partner App Store and leave a review if you have time. Well, thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your week and a good start to Q4. Take care.